Hello my crafty friends, this is Monica from Allsewpetite. Welcome to my channel. In this tutorial I will show you how to make this adorable reindeer pouch. To make this pouch you will need to download a free PDF pattern from my website. The link can be found in the description box below this video. This is such a fun and quick project that requires minimum amount of fabric. So check your fabric scraps before you start. The reindeer pouch features a top zipper closure and decorative antlers, ears, and adorable little face. The pouch is fully lined and there are no raw edges. This project is ideal for a confident beginner or anyone who is comfortable sewing zippers and curved seams. So if this is something you would like to learn, then keep on watching. To make the reindeer pouch, you will have to cut one back from external fabric and one from your lining fabric, two front pieces from external fabric and two from your lining fabric, one top panel from external fabric and one from your lining fabric, and the remaining pieces need to be cut from non-fraying fabric such as cork, vinyl or faux leather. So we have ears that needs to be cut twice, one nose and two eyes, antlers. Antlers need to be cut as mirror images. So when you have your pattern piece, you need to trace it once, then you will flip the pattern and trace it again. So you have a set of antlers, but they are cut as mirror images, as you can see. And also you will need to cut one face. In addition, you will also need one zipper. I'm using number 5 zipper today, which needs to be the same length as your front piece. First, you're going to take your external top panel and we're going to take our face. And you should have a midpoint mark on the curved edge of your face. So one edge is without the midpoint, the other one is with the midpoint. So the slightly less curved edge goes along the raw edge of our top panel. So again, I have my midpoint marked, so I'm going to align them and I can clip that in place. There you go, just like that. Then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch along that raw edge here, and then we can baste that edge as well. Once you've got that stitched, you can take a glue. I'm using 3-in-1 beacon glue today, or if you have something similar like a fabric glue or maybe even double-sided tape, you can use that as well, because we need to glue those tiny pieces on our face now. So we're going to take the nose and I'm going to dab a little bit of the glue on the back of the fabric, just at the center, and then I'm going to center it somewhere along the top of the face, just here, it's fine. Then I'm going to do the same thing for my eyes, so I'm going to dab just a little bit of glue on the back and I'm going to roughly place it here. So you will have to find the best place for your eyes. Just play with it, just see which position you like the best. I like it when it's somewhere here, so around the width of my nose, then I'll put the eyes. I found that looks very nice. So now we can take this to the machine and I'm going to stitch around the nose, around, and to anchor the eyes I'm going just to stitch back and forth a couple of times on both eyes. So this way I know those tiny pieces are in place and they won't go anywhere. I left a long tails on my nose so I don't have to backstitch the fabric. So I'm going to pull the thread tails to the back of my fabric now. And then I can tie a knot to secure them in place. Now you're going to take your front pieces and your zipper. So grab one of the external pieces and your zipper. And we're going to place the zipper along the longer edge. If you are using directional print and you open your zipper, make sure the zipper pull is at the bottom of your piece. My fabric is non-directional, so I can just place it as it is. Line it up and you can clip it in place. Then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to baste the zipper using 5mm seam allowance. When you have that ready, you're going to take one of your lining pieces and with right sides together, place the lining on top. So right sides of the fabric are facing each other. Line it up and then you can clip it to your zipper again. Just like that. Next we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. Once you've got that ready, you're going to flip the fabric away from the zipper and then you can press the seam flat. So I like to do that in 2 steps, so it's easier for me this way. So first I can press the lining and then I flip the other piece and press it again. When you are ready, you're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch along the finished seam and then we can baste the remaining edges. Half of our front is now completed, so next you can take the remaining 2 pieces and we're going to repeat the steps. So first you take your external piece, you're going to line up the other side of the zipper along the long edge. You can clip that in place. Here we go. If you want, you can baste that zipper. Or if you feel confident enough, take your lining, place it right side facing towards the zipper and move the clips to hold everything in place, just like that. And when you are ready, you can take this to the machine and sew the seam using 7mm seam allowance. Then again, we're going to press the seam. So open the panel, press it flat, and then you're going to flip it, open the other one and press it flat. Next we're going to take this to the machine, top stitch along the finished seam and then baste the remaining edges. Once you have your front assembled, then you can take your antlers and with right side facing up, we're going to line them up along the top edge. So remember, when your zipper is closed, your zipper pull needs to be at the bottom. So then you're going to take your antlers and line them up just like that along the top edge. So if you want, you can measure between 1 centimeter to 1.5 centimeter from the edge of the fabric I'm just going to eyeball it and line up the straight edge, clip that. And next we're going to take this to the machine and base those antlers using 5mm seam allowance. Next you can take your external top panel and right side facing down, place it on top. So align the midpoint at the center of your zipper, just like that. You can clip that in place. So we're going to line up the straight edges. Don't worry if the front panel is too wide. We're going to trim that in the second. There you go. Next we're going to take this to the machine and baste using 5mm seam allowance. Then you're going to take your lining piece, flip the front to the other side, and with right sides facing each other, you're going to line up the lining piece on top. Again, make sure you center the midpoint on top of your zipper. Clip that in place. And then we're going to sew the seam using 1cm seam allowance. Once you've got that ready, you're going to flip the fabric away from the zipper and then you can press the seam flat. So I'm going to do that in one go because I'm using faux leather on the other side for my eyes and my nose, so I don't want to burn the fabric. And then we're going to take this to the machine and we're going to top stitch along that finished seam, and then we can baste the other edge. Next we're going to trim the front panel to the same size and shape as our back piece. So if you want, you can take your pattern piece or your fabric, and I'm going to place it on top, line it up so I have my midpoint, so I can line up the midpoint with my zipper, the top, and then I can mark the shape of the front piece. Here we go. Then we can take scissors and just cut it to the required shape. Next you can take the ears and we're going to line them up along the side of our pouch. So what I like to do is to fold them right sides together along the straight edge, just like that. So I bring those two side edges towards the center. If you want, you can baste that. Otherwise, you're going to flip it over so the right side of your fabric is facing down. And we're going to line up the ear along the side of our pouch. So I like to line it up around 2 to 5mm away from that seam, just like that. And I clip that in place and I repeat that on the other ear. So again, we're going to fold it just like that, and then I can line it up along the side edge, make sure it's the same distance on both sides, and clip that. Here we go. Then you can take this to the machine and baste those ears about 5mm from the edge. Now you're going to open your zipper and take your external back piece, and with right side facing down we're going to place it on top. Make sure you don't catch your antlers, so fold them inwards. If you want, you can clip them in place so it doesn't bother you. Then you're going to place the back on top, line up around all sides, and we can clip that in place. Here we go. Then we're going to take this to the machine and sew the seam all around using 1 centimeter seam allowance. Here we go, just like that. Then you're going to flip it over so you can see the lining, and take your lining back piece and flip it so the right sides are facing each other. Line it up, and we're going to clip that in place. Next, you're going to take this to the machine and we're going to sew the seam using 1 centimeter seam allowance, but we need to leave an opening so we can turn the pouch right side out. So I like to just make a marking. Make sure the opening is large enough so you can turn the pouch right side out with ease. So typically I would use my hand as a guideline. Once you've got that stitched, you can take your scissors and we're going to trim the seam allowance by half, especially around the curved edges. So I'm going to just start here and trim my seam. When you are ready, you can turn your pouch right side out. When you are happy with everything, you can turn the pouch inside out, because we need to close the opening in the lining. So bring your seam allowance inside, so fold it, and then you're going to fold the lining by 1 centimeter and fold it inside, and then you can line up those 2 folded edges just like that. I'm going to use a couple of pins so I can hold it in place. Here you go. If you want, you can take this to the machine and try to stitch that in place, but I don't really like the look of it when you turn it to the right side, because then there is this bump here. So in this situation it is best to close the opening by hand using a ladder stitch. When you are ready, you can turn the pouch right side out. I'm going to use my corner shaper again. There we go. So if you have to give your pouch a final press, otherwise your project is finished. So let me know in the comment section if you enjoyed this tutorial, and if you want to see similar video, make sure you subscribe to my channel. See you next time. Stay crafty, friends.